Is it working? Okay. Hi, guys, and welcome to a little something that people have been doing for a while. I don't know why this has suddenly become more popular on YouTube, but this is the political compass test, and more and more people have been doing it. More and more people have been making memes out of it, which is obviously hilarious to watch every now and then. But yeah, it's a thing that I've done in the past for myself, but I never actually published the results. So I will gonna do it again, and this time, record myself and show you a glimpse into what my visions about politics is, and where I stand on the political compass. It's basically just a test with questions. I guess if we go and take the test, there you go. It says there actually aren't questions, there are statements, and you have to say whether you agree with them or don't agree with them. Sorry if I'm putting this in front of you. I'm just checking if you can see things properly. And based on your agreement or disagreement on these issues or topics, it will place you on the political compass. It uses the standard bidimensional political compass, where the horizontal line is the economic the like line between like capitalist and socialist, and the vertical line is the um, social, like political line between authoritarian and libertarian. Um, Obviously, if you try to think about it a little bit more detailed, you can reduce it to a single line, but you have to understand a little bit more nuance about politics to do that. Then, some people, for them, it's not that easy, and you can get into situations like, well, is Stalin the same kind of leftist as Bernie Sanders, and how does that work? And because of that, they use the bidimensional one, so they have the distinction between uh, liberal socialist, which would be, in the bottom left, and the socialist authoritarian, which would be in the top left. Um, Regardless, this is the test. Obviously, you can make it as complicated as you want. I've seen it with like a three-dimensional one, which looks pretty cool. If I can go for like a picture of it, it was I can't. I have to like change nah, the way this is. Here you go. This is the test that I'm talking about. See, with like three-dimensional one, the economic scale, the personal scale, and the political scale. In any case, we'll not do that. We'll do the general two-dimensional one, and now the entire fucking thing is fucked up over here. I hope, is it okay? I can you read this? Let me do it a little bit more like this. I think this is readable. Right. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna go through the questions, and I'm gonna answer them with my own preferences. I'm not gonna stay too long and explain my answers. This is just how I believe, and if you've been following my channel for long enough, you would pretty much already know that, and either agree or disagree. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than interests of transnational corporations. Obviously, we want humanity to, persevere, and corporations, you know, unless we get to the point of like where the corporations are entirely owned by the workers themselves in a democratized workplace, seize the means of production and all that. Until we get to that point, yeah, corporations are kind of oligarchic and fascistic by nature, and it should rather serve humanity. I always support my country whether it was right or wrong. Strongly disagree. There's so many problems over here, and yeah, patriotism, like it's very easy to get caught in that feeling. Very emotional, but you have to learn to grow out of it. No one chooses his country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Yeah, I would agree with that. Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. I mean, are you comparing like? the human race with other animal races? I mean, yes, maybe. I don't know. Um, yeah, we have superior intellect over, I don't know, fish, but they can swim underwater and we can't unless we use submarines. So, um, yeah, I would be strongly disagree on that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, this is there are also obviously a part. There's some more of philosophical questions through this test or survey or whatever you wanna call it, and I'm not exactly sure how they count this, but I would be a slight agree on this one. Like, obviously, you can, in politics, you have to build coalitions and work like this, but you still have to understand that, they're the enemies. There's just the discussion now with like Bernie or bust and whether to support Biden or I don't know, go for third party. If the entire Bernie supporters, like 30%, would go and vote third party, I would be massive. I would love to see that, even though it would most likely mean that the Republicans and Trump would win. But imagine that we could it would be an election of a lifetime. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Yeah, I hmm, I'm not sure between slight disagree or slight agree. I think we'll go disagree, but not strongly agree. We should respect international law, but there are instances where sometimes you have to act and the things that we have are implemented are just they're very slow and inefficient. The United Nations, we had like the civil war in Syria, and there couldn't be any actions taken because through the UN, that is through international law, because Russia would veto any action, Russia being a permanent member of the United Nations Council, Security Council, I think, and therefore having veto power and having a pretty cool alliance with Syria, they would veto it in order to maintain the current regime. So that's why sometimes international law is problematic and maybe you should have ways to go around it. But it will be just a soft disagree this time around. There is now a warring fusion of information and entertainment. Um, Agree. I'm not sure if it's really that worrying, but yeah, it's a little bit annoying how much and sorry, by the way, you see the ads on the bottom there. Um, yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate how media now they only survive by, entertainment and giving factual information becomes harder and harder. You can even think about, the clickbaity titles. So, um, education needs to change quite a lot. Next page, we're talking about economic attitudes over here. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I would say strongly agree. Basically, what this is saying is that you'd have more in common. If you are, for example, a poor working person in the United States, you'd have more in common with a poor working person from China or Australia or Zimbabwe or whatever other country you can imagine than with a rich person, a wealthy person from your own country. Obviously, you'd have to go past the cultural differences. Language barrier is pretty important. If you don't know their language, then it's going to be pretty hard. But going over the language, I'd say that the division is more important by class than by nationality. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I've seen this one before. I've never got really. I would about pretty much be unsure about this. Maybe so. Inflation is pricing, controlling unemployment. Like, you want people to have work, but you also want people to be able to afford shit. I mean, I guess slightly disagree. Because proliferation cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulations. Strongly agree, and this has been kind of pretty much proven. that the environmental problems and global warming and climate change that is bearing down upon us. We can't really just trust that capitalism will solve it, at least not within reasonable time. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea, yet this is the motto of like socialism and communism. So ideally, it's um it's a good idea. Now, how you implement that, that's where we might come to disagreement, and we're not there yet right now. But yeah, the freer the market, the freer the people. That would be a disagree. Not strongly disagree. Obviously, you want free market, but free market tends without any regulation, apart from like the environmental problems that we just mentioned, it also tends to create monopolies and that restricts choice over time. It's a sad reflection of our society that something as basic as drinking water has become a bottled, branded consumer product. Um, yeah, kind of. I mean, that's what you expect. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I would strongly agree with that. It's pretty limited, so we should have at least like housing should be guaranteed. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Yep, they want people to work. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Maybe I can see situations where it's useful, where you have like a developing nation and you want to protect it from like giant corporations from that have like multinational reach and could easily outcompete any local corporations, but I am still in favor of a free market as much as possible. Mm, I'm not sure. Yeah, this would I would still flip on this one depending on what other things I would see. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver profit to its shareholders. I mean, it is now, but it shouldn't be. So I'm gonna strongly disagree. The rich are too highly taxed. I don't think so. They are taxed higher, depending on the country, sometimes much higher. I mean, maybe if I were in like, I don't know, like Switzerland or Sweden or countries like that, maybe that and that place would be just a slight disagree. But in my country and in the United States, there could be taxed easily more. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of Medicare. Now, this is an interesting one. Like, everyone should have access to healthcare, uh, guaranteed, a human right, as Bernie Sanders would say. But if you happen to be, everyone should have access to like the highest standards of medical care. But if you are like a very wealthy person, should you have access to even higher standards? Just pay your fucking own doctors and research your own stuff. So yeah, this is why I'm a little bit unsure about how to answer this one. Like, as long as everyone has access to uh like the best standards of healthcare without getting into crippling debt, that then I can leave the rest higher up to be, available for people who have more money. So I guess it will be just a slight disagree. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. This is a rough one. This is the whole freedom of speech kind of kind of thing. Um, Obviously, the main thing what you should do is to have the population that is like educated enough to be able to do their own research and inform themselves properly so they're not misled. But the thing is that businesses and certain businesses that are very, very big and very, very wealthy, they have a lot more resources that they can invest in like mass media in order to mislead the public, and it's much harder to find the right information. So in that case, you can have this discussion. as I hear myself talking about it, I'd start to tend towards agree. Um, I still think it should be a disagree though, and should invest more into the education. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predatory multinationals to create monopolies. Yes, that is something that even the founders of the capitalist like ideology, the theoretical um, ideology of capitalism agreed upon. Personal social value, abortion and a woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly disagree. It's a very like contentious topic to debate, and you know, I'm not. I'm a man. I am not, not gonna have to go through that decision myself, but I can understand like the pain of, getting, carrying a pregnancy and giving birth. It's like, oh my God, it is not pretty. Let me tell you that much. I'm not sure if you've seen videos about people of getting birth. Maybe you see like the small scenes where they scream a couple of times and the baby pops out. It's a lot of like shit and piss involved and blood. Don't forget about blood and pain. Um, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, there should be some restrictions, obviously. I think the third time trimester is a good compromise, in my opinion, and there should be also some discussions about like male like parenting rights, like maybe you should have the ability to call for an abortion if if the pregnancy resulted as the father being raped, for example. I know it's a rare case, but it could happen, and I don't think we have anything in the books for that. But other than that, I do believe that women have mostly mostly the choice. All authority should be questioned. Don't you dare. Yes, it should be questioned all the time. An eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. That's, punitive justice is it just leads to more the cycle of revenge just continues down the road, and it's a very strong human feeling to seek revenge, but at some point you do have to you do have to end it, otherwise the cycle just never ends and it really leads to just more and more suffering. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Strongly disagree. Otherwise, basically everything art related will just turn into entertainment, and we would no longer have, you know, art for just the idea of enlightening the human spirit, I guess you can say. But you can have commercial museums and theaters as well to compete, like private ones to compete with the public ones, no problem. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. So basically, this is like if homeschooling should be an option, and that can be quite problematic, I think. So, um, yeah, I would say like a strongly disagree on that. For the most part, like maybe in a ideal world where people are educated enough and children are just raised and educated within the community, schools would no longer be necessary. But we are far away from that, aren't we? Um, and yeah, maybe disagree. No, it should be still strongly disagree. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people cling to their own kind. Strongly disagree. Diversity helps. It has been pretty much studied at this point. Good parents have to spank their children sometimes. Strongly disagree. This has also been studied that spanking just doesn't doesn't help. It is hard sometimes. I know parenting is fucking atrocious, and I'm not gonna impugn anyone. It is a hard job. You should very much think about it before you go ahead with it. But yeah, spanking um is no bueno. You're basically creating, you know, the child just associates the parent with like safety and comfort. And when you spank them, that's, basically pain and danger, and it creates just like uh this disconnection in their brain that can really affect them down the road. It is natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Yes, it is natural. Now, obviously, the parent-child relationship should trend more towards a friendship as the child grows older, and the secrets should be that are kept should be, you know, minimal, and there should be open discussions about everything, but that sometimes doesn't happen. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree, and I am in case you don't know, I am even more extreme on that. I would put extremely strongly. I would be, I'm for possessing anything for personal use should not be a criminal offense, not just marijuana. And it is called cannabis, by the way. Let's be cannabis. Let's be realistic here. The prime function of schooling should be to equip future generations to find jobs. No, I mean, it shouldn't be, but unfortunately, due to the capitalistic society, you have to do that as well. Otherwise, you end up with kids that just, I mean, young adults that have no marketable skills and then they just end up starving. Um, Maybe disagree, but we should really change society in order to for that to not be the case. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. That's a spicy one. Uh, Disagree. I think they should still be able to, but maybe they should be uh, discouraged. Like maybe they should tell them, hey, you have this disability. There is a very high chance that if you have a kid, they're also gonna have the same disability, and everything that you went through, they're gonna went through as well. Are you sure about this? Press OK to continue. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Um, this will be a disagree. Like discipline is important, but you have to, it's the idea of not discipline from like an authority, but discipline to be yourself a disciplined person in order to like, organize yourself and do your task. And that can be a lot more efficient and you end up much more fulfilled if you are disciplined than if you are just procrastinating. So that's why I'm tending between strongly disagree or just lightly disagree, because if it's, discipline as a concept, then that's important. If it's discipline as in obey the authorities, then um, now we strongly disagree. There are no savage and civilized peoples, there are only different cultures. Yes. Um, is the culture that the differences come from, not from the people. Obviously, there are, the cultures that is right now in most Muslim nations is not the most progressive ones, but what you have to understand is that this is mostly a cultural issues, is not that the people there are savage, backwards barbarians or something. So, yeah, those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. That's a spicy one. Um, Uh, Again, you kind of should work, but yeah, if you are able to work but refuse the opportunity, hmm, thing is that, it's not just about being able to work, but it's also about work, doing work that you find enjoyable, that you want to do, basically. And sometimes that's a little bit harder to find, and maybe it's okay to wait until you get that opportunity, and while you wait, you should receive some society support and not just be put to work some menial job. But um, obviously, there is all the fear that people will just become lazy and just not do anything. Although that's not the case, boredom is a very strong incentive, and people at some point they will do something. Like, don't imagine that they'll just sit on their ass all day and do nothing. Like, believe me, with this pandemic, if it wasn't clear enough, people want to do stuff, just that sometimes they're prevented to doing that because of all the socio-economic factors. So, yeah, if there was something between strongly disagree and disagree, I will be there. I said I wouldn't discuss this and just answer them. God damn it, I'm already 20 minutes in. When you're troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Ah, the Mr. Peanut Butter attitude. No, most of the times you should try and confront your problems and seek therapy if you need to. But, you know, I mean, um, sometimes you can trick your brain with more cheerful things, so you do what you can. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. That's a spicy one. So it doesn't say about second generation or third generation. Obviously, they can be integrated, but first generation, it is a little bit more difficult. But I still think they can by the end of the life, I would say. So maybe just a slight disagree. What's good for the most successful corporation is always ultimately good for us. No, no broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Ah, state-sponsored news media. Um, that would help to keep the corporations from being biased towards um, certain political factions that they receive money from or certain corporations, and it will also keep them from trending towards just an entertainment publication. But obviously, that will just make it, become biased in favor of the state. So, um, I don't know. There should be some sort of like state news media out there, but it shouldn't like overrule the independent press.
All
Just a
right.
second. Very sorry about that. So, yeah, like I said, there should be like a state media apparatus maybe, but it shouldn't like censor uh private ones. So, we can have maybe some sort of like you can say that this is the thing that the state says and this is everything that everyone else says. So, I guess it will be just slightly disagree. Oh my God, there's still like 2 pages. Are civil liberties being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism? Yeah, just see the recent thing with like FBI can check your browsing history. Jesus. A significant advantage of one-party state is that it avoids arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. I mean, that is true, but I'm not sure if we can necessarily view that as an advantage. So I'll be just a slight. I don't agree with a one-party state. Let's be honest about it. This will probably make push me towards an authoritarian, but I mean, it is true that, without the democratic process, decisions can be a lot more streamlined, but you might miss out on like alternative ideas like, oh, maybe we can do it this way, which might actually be better than the original proposal. Uh, okay, let's put it disagree. Let's okay, you smothered me a little bit. Electronic age makes official surveillance easier. Only wrongdoers should be worried. No, we saw how it can be misused quite easily. Death penalty should be an option for more serious crimes. No, I am strongly against the death penalty, and it's been shown many times that, like there's many problems with it. It doesn't act as a deterrent. It doesn't save the state money. And it's you shouldn't trust the state to have this power for the most part, and obviously the possibility of innocence being executed is like that by itself should overrule the the death penalty. But yeah, plus you're missing the chance of that individual to ever be rehabilitated and contribute in some way to society. So then one must always be above, have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. No, Abstract that doesn't represent should be considered art at all. No. I mean, abstract art is still art. I mean, I know that it's hard for us plebeians to understand the aspirations of those greatest artists, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be considered art. Criminal justice punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. No, rehabilitation should be the most important, and it has been proven most of the time that it works. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. Um, I mean, some criminals really are just absolutely atrocious, and they can probably never be changed. But I do think that it should still you should still try. It should still be the main priority. So I'll be just disagree, a small disagree on this one. A business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. No. Mothers may have career, but their duty is to be homemakers. No. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Yes. Just see the fucking what happens with like mining in Africa and whatnot. Making peace with the establishment is more of maturity. No. No. Next page. Okay, we're going through them a little bit faster. Religion. This will be fast. Astrology accurately explains many things. No. It cannot be moral without being religious. No. Uh, Charity is better than social security as a means to, no. Some people are naturally unlucky. Um, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what this one refers to. It is important that my child's school instill religious values. No. Um, right? Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Nope. Same-sex couple should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Yes. And actually been studies to show at this point that same-sex couples, children from same-sex couples come out, uh, just as well as children from straight couples. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Yes. What goes in a private bedroom is no business of the state. Yes. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Um, there's been new studies about this, about how the genetic thing about homosexuality may not be that strong, and um, the environment might affect it a little bit more. But you still have to take into account that throughout the human history, there's been a constant, consistent, like 2 to 5% percentage of the population that being, LGBT to use the broader term. So, um, yeah, I guess it will be disagree on this one. I'm not sure if it's like some people have told me that, they just feel that way, but if they had the choice, if it was simply just a choice, they would still choose to be gay. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, but yeah, this day openness about sex has gone too far. No, I think it could go definitely a lot further. And now let us see our results. So yeah, this explains how the traditional right line can be a little bit problematic, how it works on this one, and some examples with like Gandhi being left libertarian, Stalin being like authoritarian left, Hitler authoritarian right, and Friedman libertarian right. And my position, ooh, wow, all right. That is much further than I remember. I don't have the results of the previous political test, but if I remember correctly, I was somewhere around here-ish. Like I was still in the left libertarian spectrum, that was for certain, but I was a lot more closer to center, I was like, I can't remember if I was over here or over here, somewhere around this area, but it seems like I've turned it even more to the extreme, so that's pretty good. Yeah, so you can, and here's the certificate, right? So you can get this and post it around. If you want, I'm actually gonna do a print screen and save it so I can have it available if other people ask me. So yeah, now you know my political standing on the issues. You can take the test for yourself and see where you land. Remember that you have to answer the questions as openly, as honestly as possible. Otherwise, you can push yourself to whatever angle you want. And yeah, that being said, hope you guys enjoyed watching. Make sure you have a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Slightly different video, but it's still interesting. And I'll see you next time on Learning to Make. It has stopped working. Bye bye.